Hello everybody. In this video, let's look at how to run PeopleTools 8.57 on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. To do this, you'll need an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure account. So if you don't have one, get a free or a trial account to test PeopleTools 8.57 on Oracle Cloud. Now when you sign up, you'll get up to 3,500 free hours or $300 worth free credits. With this free credits, you can run all the services in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. But for the purpose of this demo, we'll consume only the compute service, block storage service, and a little bit of object storage service. When you begin to sign up, you will be prompted with this page where you'll need to provide the cloud account name that you want. This should be a unique one, which is not used by anybody else. Once you've identified that, select a region where you want to run this service. Then provide all the required details such as email address, your first and last name, the country of origin, and the billing address in complete details. So after you've provided all the address and details, proceed to step 2, wherein you provide your mobile number to which a verification code is sent, which needs to be entered right on the page, and ensure to verify that your mobile number is correct. Step 3, you provide your credit card details, fill in all the required inputs for your credit card. Please note that since this is a trial account, your credit card will be verified with a very small amount, which will be reverted right after it is charged. And you will not be charged for any of the services that you consume unless you convert your trial account into a paid account. So after you've added your credit card details and the verification is complete, select the terms and conditions checkbox, ensure to read all the terms and license agreements, and click continue to finish the sign up process. Creation of your trial account takes up to 15 minutes, after which you will receive an email with all the details on how to log in and your initial credentials. So till the time you get your details, you can go through the cloud documentation. So this will help you get started and understand what are the Oracle Cloud services and how to manage your Oracle Cloud account by creating the necessary users, credentials, compartments, and your networking to be able to run instances easily on the Oracle Cloud account. The next step is to configure your cloud account. So after you receive an email regarding the access details and the initial credentials, log into your account. The initial credentials are provided to you in your email, that is your welcome letter. Use those to log into your account for the first time. As part of the first login, you will be asked to change your password. Ensure to provide a password which meets all the required criteria. So after you've changed your password successfully, set up your language preference and your time zone preference. With this, your account is set up and ready to use. After logging in on this page, you click on Dashboard to view the services that you have consumed or the instances that you're running. At this point, you see that since it's a brand new account, you have 0 services and you have full free credits. Now, to look at the services that are enabled on your account, click on the left menu and you will see all the services that Oracle Cloud provides. And all these services are enabled in your tenancy. Now for this demo, all that we need is to go into the compute service and create the required configuration and the instances that we need. Now let's go into the compute service. So this is the compute service dashboard where you can create instances, configure compartments, and view the dashboards. Now let's go straight into the administration of this tenancy and see the details of our tenancy and the regions in which they are enabled. So this demo account has got enabled on the Frankfurt region, and we still have 3 regions that we can subscribe to. As an example, let's subscribe to the Ashburn region. Now after the region is enabled, you can go ahead and create any resources in this region. So you can change the region by using the option on the top right corner. You can see the service limits of each of those regions using the service limits option, where you can look at what is assigned to your tenancy, how much of block volume storage, how many virtual machine shapes and what kind of shapes, what are the database shapes that are available in your tenancy, the file storage, the networking, all these resources that are assigned to your free cloud account. You can take stock of that here. Now let's start configuring your tenancy. Navigate using the left menu and go to the identity option. From the identity option, click on compartments. So let's create a compartment in which we can create all the PeopleSoft resources. I'm creating a compartment named CM-Integ, providing a small description. Then click Create. Next, go to the users list and create a new user for a PeopleSoft administrator, and let's call it PSFT admin. This administrator user will have all the required rules and permissions to create resources in this tenancy. Now let's create a group called CM admins, which will have all the users whom we want to give access to as a Cloud Manager administrators in this tenancy. Now go into the details of the CM admins group and add the newly created PSFT admin user into that group. Now let's create a policy that's going to give the relevant or the required permissions and access to the resources that are created in this tenancy. Now what we're trying to do here is trying to add a policy or add a rule that is going to give full control or full permissions to the CM-Integ compartment for all the users who are part of the CM admins group. I have created this rule to enable the PS admin user to have enough ability to manage this compartment. Just keep this in mind that this user is what we'll be using in the Cloud Manager settings to be able to create or provision instances. The next important step is to create the networking. So using the left menu, navigate to the Virtual Cloud Network Creation page. Now ensure to choose the right compartment in which you want to create the VCN. Provide it a name, in this case My World Net. Choose the option to create all the resources along with the VCN. So as part of choosing all resources, this creates 3 public subnets, one each on the 3 different availability domains, which should be good to start using for any of the instances that we want to create. Right? In case you want to create something of your own, go into the details of the virtual cloud network that you just created. Read through the list of subnets that are already available. And if you'd like to add something new, click on a Create Subnet button. So ensure you're using the same compartment that we created. Provide a name to the subnet. Choose the availability domain on which the subnet should be created. Define the CIDR block addresses. So ensure you don't overlap with the available subnets already. Choose something unique. For the rest of the options, you can choose the default available route and DHCP options and the security rules. And click Create. So this will create another subnet in your virtual cloud network, which is a public subnet and having the CIDR that you just provided. So you can add any number of such subnets. The important aspect of creating a subnet is also defining the rules of access for these subnets. So these ingress rules define what kind of connections or communication should be allowed into this subnet. Now I am going to define a set of blanket rules which says allow the entire subnet or the entire virtual cloud network to access VMs on all of their ports. I'm adding a blanket rule for the public internet, that is 0.0.0.0, allowing access to port 8000 on all of the VMs that are created on this VCN. Similarly, I'm adding an RDP port for access from internet. For more stringent and strict rules, ensure to enable only those subnets or IP addresses that needs access. For the sake of the demo, I have enabled the entire VCN or even the public internet to access the VMs on specific ports. Now that our tenancy is configured, let's get the Cloud Manager images. Log into the Oracle Marketplace and search for Cloud Manager under the Applications section. This returns 3 different listings for Cloud Manager, one for OCI and the other 2 for OCI Classic. Click on the listing for OCI. On this page, click on Get App, read and accept the license terms, which will then direct you to the My Oracle support page to download the images. Now you do not have to download the Cloud Manager image, but download the second image, which is the base Oracle Linux that is used for provisioning environments. Download these and store them on a local system, which can be uploaded later. The next step is to create a custom Windows image. Let's start by creating a new instance. Provide a name to that instance. Select the AD where we want to deploy this image. Browse and locate the Windows Server image that we want to customize. Read and accept the terms and select the image. Choose the shape that you want to use for this Windows image. Select the networking options and click Create to create the instance. This will take a while, and after some time you will be able to see the custom Windows image in a running state. Now copy the public IP address from that instance details page and open a remote desktop connection to that instance. On the first login, you will be required to change the initial password. The initial password is available on the same instance details page, which is automatically set by OCI, and you'll need to change that as a first step. After you log in, you need to perform a series of steps required to customize this instance. To do that, launch the PowerShell module, then follow the creating a custom Windows image for PeopleSoft Cloud Manager OBE and do all the required configurations. After you're done with that, you create a custom image out of the instance that you have already customized. So this will take a backup or a clone or a copy of your Windows instance, and all the customizations or configurations that you did on that Windows image will now be available on that image. Now you can see in this example that I had created a custom image for the instance, and you can see that custom image under the custom image sections. Now this is what we are going to use for all the provisioning of Windows through Cloud Manager. So Cloud Manager needs two images, one Windows and one Linux image. We've already created a custom Windows image, and now let's try to see how to create the custom Linux image. The first step here is to create an object storage bucket in your cloud account. Now under this, I'm going to upload the Linux image that we had downloaded earlier from my Oracle support. Now after you download that image, you unzip it, which gives you the QCOW2 format image. Browse to that, select that image and upload it. Once the upload is complete, you'll be able to see that object in your object storage bucket. Click on the details of that object and copy the URL path to that image. Now navigate back to the compute and custom images. If you remember, we had created a Windows image which is still available there. Now click on import image, provide it a name, let's call it OL69. Paste the path that you had copied earlier. Select the options native and QCOW2 and click import. So this will import that object storage image into your custom image section. So after import, now you should be able to see two images that we need for Cloud Manager. One is the Linux image and the other one is the Windows image that you have customized. And these two images are being used for deploying any PeopleSoft environment. Now that we have the Windows and Linux image, let's go ahead and create a Cloud Manager instance. So when you begin creating the instance, you provide a name to the Cloud Manager instance. You select the AD on which you want to run and select the Cloud Manager image which is available in the Oracle Images tab. Select the image, read and agree to the license terms and click Select. Now choose a VM shape that you want the Cloud Manager image to run. Provide an SSH key to be able to SSH into the Cloud Manager instance later. Select the networking inputs. These are the ones that you created earlier and click Create. So the Cloud Manager instance will be up and running in a few minutes. So when you see the instance status as running, copy the public IP address and using your favorite SSH client, log into that Cloud Manager instance. Please note, you'll have to use the same SSH key that you had provided earlier, the private key for the public key that you had uploaded earlier. So after logging into that Cloud Manager instance, you have to install the Cloud Manager application. Now that's a two-step process. First step is to create something called as the API keys. So launch the API create scripts, provide the necessary inputs as you see in this video, which will generate the required API private and public keys. Now you will need to configure this API public key in the OCI console. So copy the contents of your API key, the full contents. Go back to your OCI console, go to your users, click on the PSFT admin user that we had created earlier, and under the API keys, add this key that you have copied. So this enables the Cloud Manager instance to communicate with the OCI using APIs and be able to create and manage any instance. Now the next step is to begin the installation process of Cloud Manager application. To do that, launch the bootstrap process and follow the inputs or the steps that it asks for. First, provide the region where you want to create the Cloud Manager instance, followed by the OCIDs for tenancy and the user. Provide the API key details and provide all the credentials requirement to begin the PeopleSoft Cloud Manager application deployment. So after you provide all the inputs, there'll be a pre-validation check that is performed on the inputs provided, and you should be able to see the status as success, without which you should not be proceeding further. Type yes to continue further and look through the logs on how Cloud Manager is getting installed. So the installation of Cloud Manager is going to take a few minutes, and once the installation is complete, you will get the links to the PI URL of the Cloud Manager application. Using the HTTP link, let's log into the Cloud Manager application. So provide the password that you had given for the CLEDM user during Bootstrap installation and log into the Cloud Manager for the first time. So once you are here, the first step is to configure the Cloud Manager settings page. Now configure the My Oracle support credentials, which will allow you to download all the PeopleSoft application pillars that you need. In case you have COBOL, paste the license there and save the settings. Next, move to the infrastructure settings page and provide the OCIDs of the two images that you have in your custom images tab. If you remember, we had created a custom Windows image, and on that custom Windows image, we had set other credentials for the OPC user. Configure the same and click on Save. So after you click on Save, you need to refresh the OCI metadata by clicking the button on top right corner. Only after that, you will be able to create the file server. Now, go to the file server page, give it a name, and you can select the size of the VM based on the shapes that you want to run, and provide this data volume size or the capacity of the file server. So once you've provided these inputs, click on Create and wait for a few minutes for the file server to get configured. A new file server VM is created and enough configuration is put on that to be identified as a file server VM. Now go to the repository and subscribe to the channels that you want to download. So since this demo is about PeopleTools 8.57, let's start by subscribing to a HCM channel followed by the PeopleTools 8.57 channel. Now provide the starting version from which you want to download. At this time, patch 01 is the latest, so let's give that as 01 and start downloading the PeopleTools for starting from 8.57.01. Cloud Manager downloads all the downloads that are available from My Oracle support and places them on your file server. Now in this example, after a brief time of download, you have all the application TPKs for HCM and the PRPs downloaded and saved on your file server along with the PeopleTools DPKs. So now if you want to deploy an HCM application on cloud and then upgrade the PeopleTools version to 8.57 on it, let's start by defining or using a topology to deploy the application. Now I'm using a default topology that is available, that is the PUM full tier topology, which will have one Linux VM which will house the application and one Windows client which will be used to connect to that application or do the PeopleTools upgrade. Now I just added all the VM shapes that are needed for those topology VMs and heading into the environment template to create a template which will be used to deploy the HCM application along with PeopleTools that it comes with. Now I'm creating a new template here, giving it a name and a small description and selecting the HCM database that I want to deploy. As step 2, I'm selecting the PUM topology that I had edited earlier to add all the required shapes. I'm going to add in some of the configurations that needs to be saved in this template. I'm going to define where this instance or where this application needs to be deployed and which network these instances need to be connected to. Then I define the subnet where this PeopleSoft instance will be created on. And similarly, set the configuration for the full tier instance, that is the Linux instance where the HCM application will be installed. I can use most of the default values. If not, I can modify the values to what I need. I can select the subnet where this Linux VM will be installed. I can choose the domain configuration sizing as well, but for this demo I'm going to retain all the default values. But you can choose to define any of these parameters and save them as a template. Now the third step, I'm going to define a zone, which is nothing but a tag to identify it as a test, dev, or a production environment. Then I'm going to define the access for this template, and finally click on submit to save the template along with the configurations that I wanted to save. These saved configurations will then be used at the time of deployment. So let's go ahead and start our deployment process. I go to the environment style, click on create environment, give a name to the HCM instance or the environment that I'm creating, a brief description, and the template that I want to deploy. So this page lists all the configurations that I had saved earlier. I need to define all the credentials because credentials are not saved as part of the template. I can override any of the saved attributes. Once I'm done with the inputs, click on done, which starts deploying the HCM instance with the HCM Pi database. The provisioning of this HCM environment goes through a series of steps where it creates the VMs first, and then it starts installing the applications on those VMs, all in an orchestrated fashion. So at any time, if you want to look at the logs, navigate to the logs page and see what exactly is going on as part of the deployment. So after the deployment is complete, you will see that the environment is in the running status. You can go into the details and look at how the environment is deployed. So on doing a refresh, you will get a much better view of the environment. You can click on the environment name to see a pictorial representation of how the environment is deployed. In this case, one Linux VM and one Windows client. You can also drill down into each of the sections and see how it is deployed. Now, our example here is to upgrade the PeopleTools version on the environment created. So go to the Upgrade PeopleTools page, select the tools version that you want this environment to be upgraded to, and click on Upgrade. Now this kicks off a background process which takes at least 3 to 4 hours to complete based on the size of the database. Now, as you can see in this example, we have kickstarted the upgrade process, and you can click on the in progress status to really see what's going on as part of the upgrade process. Now in this page, you can see that the upgrade process is split into 5 steps, and step 1 is being executed. After all the steps have completely run successfully, you should be able to see that your environment will be upgraded to PeopleTools 8.57. Now let's take a look after the upgrade process is complete. When you go into the details of the environment and to the PeopleTools upgrade page, you will now see that the environment is showing the status of completed upgrade, and the new tools version is now available or set to 85701. Click on the complete status hyperlink to see more details on how the process completed. Right? And this is how you take an application pillar, deploy an environment, and then do a PeopleTools upgrade on it. So to explore more on PeopleTools 8.57, click on the PR URL to launch the PR.